Hello, my name is Dale Hawthorne. Welcome to my channel. And first time, I welcome you here. If you're coming back, well, I hope that you continue to find videos which help you, in which um, you'll find that our content, the subject matter, and my way of presentation speaks to you. So the question I got right now is: a classical Christian education right for my gifted child? Some of you parents may be asking that. Some of you may need to ask that. But when I talk about giftedness, this is someone who a child objectively tested and validated as having an IQ 132 or higher, someone whose IQ is clearly within the gifted range, that can be tested before going to school. That's usually, in many jurisdictions, a part of preparation for school to take the age appropriate IQ test. And it's someone, isn't just because I think my child is gifted. I have a high opinion of my child. I think my child is so talented and wonderful. And because I'm so proud of my child, I think they're gifted. Um, Actually, there is an objective measure, and that is the IQ test. And it's been validated over almost 100 years now as to applying for this. You'll find some um, off. Offbeat sources that try to debunk it, but actually, if there's anything in psychology, as Jordan Peterson has said, that's valid, it is IQ. But if you want to continue to see videos like this, and I will be from time to time putting out something about giftedness, please click like and subscribe, and you'll be in line to be able to receive notification of my new upcoming videos. So, is a classical Christian education right for my gifted child? As a parent, mother, or father, I think that the answer could really be yes, especially if you're already a Christian in your own convictions, your heart. Yes. And I did a video which on my own experience of education, and in the 60s and 70s, there were still some elements which you could take advantage of in the culture and in the educational institutions, which actually did have some echoes and some basis in the um, classical curriculum, the Christian curriculum I got from church and from the Bible. So, Christian part. So, the idea is to build the foundation, to be able to speak, understand, be linguistically flexible, understand a wide range of history, and reach multiple abilities. And gifted people do have multiple abilities, so yeah, a classical education could be well fitted for a gifted person. It doesn't push children into specialization or skewed assessment of future professions too early. There may be places where that happens. I would hope that it doesn't happen too often in our, but I do know in our United States educational system. But I do remember that college prep vocational tracks were done during my very early, from around 6th or 7th grade. So teaching the fundamentals of learning, how to think, how not what to think, but how to think critically. Classical logic, which goes on to more modern logic, how to express yourself, rhetoric, number, arithmetic. We're getting not just the trivium, but the quadrivium, and astronomy, things like that. And yeah, a variety of information, variety of options. For instance, astronomy. I was kind of an amateur astronomer. When I started in the 8th grade, I had some friends who had telescopes, and I had a not very good telescope, and it was really when I went over to their houses and with their telescope that I really caught more of it. But that may have been a career path as an astronomer that may have been good for me, maybe good for your child if they. And it requires math, requires science, and in the satellite age, astronomy And astrophysics are things which are applicable. It doesn't just mean you have to get a PhD and go into university teaching. There are other applications. NASA is not far away from where I am right now. There's a um, NASA installation, and yeah, NASA would have openings for astronomers normally. So, and the classical Christian education also provides a biblical and a moral foundation. Gifted children are often more morally developed earlier because of a earlier development of the moral intelligence. We have a moral intelligence also, and they're more morally aware earlier than other children. So this would address some of the things that they may be thinking about morally before some of the other children who um, may not be gifted. So, and there's a balance of repetition, extension of previous learning within the classical curriculum and the classical Christian curriculum most often. And there are variations which could be used for homeschooling or small schooling. And so there is an idol, though, of the current educational establishment you'll come up against. What about socialization? Well, socialization is not such a big thing for a gifted child because they don't have the same IQ. They won't may very often need to move ahead of their peers, and that's why subject acceleration is, no matter where you are, that is a proven strategy for gifted children during their education to be able to for them to appropriately um, proceed along the track of their own learning and IQ. So acceleration can be there, and yeah, there's no need to be socialized to keep up with an IQ cohort. Someone that a gifted kid may be bored to death going over material which they've already mastered and which other students around them are struggling to master. And what happens in that situation? Well, teachers often recruit the bright children, the gifted children, into serving as assistant teachers for others, and that can build a lot of resentment over time. So, socialization is easily exaggerated to mean a lot more than it should be. And also, socialization shouldn't mean having to put up with protracted, relentless bullying over years in school. That's a real problem for gifted children, gifted adults who remember that. It's a hurt which persists. And often a very sneaky and malicious peer can be an instigator for years, someone who's a frenemy, who acts like a friend but is an instigator of others, taking secrets and making fun behind the back. And that can happen, that can mean persistent and relentless bullying over years in school. And it can mean also, along with this, if they're in the homeschool, the small school, the different curriculum, not in the public school curriculum, protection against others who may be watching someone perform ahead of them with an envious eye. People don't like to be outperformed, and that starts with children also. And so that bullying may also be with someone who tries to disrupt the progress of your gifted child. Keep them from moving ahead according to your child's potential. Bring down their sense of accomplishment so that they don't feel like they're doing anything. So, you being in this different type of schooling, that different type of curriculum, homeschooling, school perhaps, it can protect them against what I could call the shutdown beatdown. The beatdown which is attempted to be so strong that shuts down the child from pursuing worthwhile areas of interest, education, things which can be enriching to that child's life for years. So that does happen. So it can be a protection against bullying, against the envy of others trying to bring them down, and again proceed at their own pace. Um, I would particularly think that homeschooling would be a place where a homeschooled child could work out the group tasks, maybe working with others or something for other homeschooling families, or working out events and activities, and may be able to be fast tracked into areas of interest, areas of potential, areas of accomplishment without needing to wait for others to get up to that level. And also, it really does protect against political indoctrination. There's a big thing about that now, and I think that political indoctrination is unethical for an educator, no matter what place you are on the political spectrum. Children are not to be your political pawns. So I'll say that if you're in this situation, you'd be looking at history and political history from thousands of years, many cultures, and not into the latest thing, which whatever is coming from whatever end of the political spectrum. So, and as I said earlier, it can protect against a bright child, high IQ child, being hoovered into being the assistant teacher in the class, which builds resentment, and the child builds resentment from the others, and it's not a good situation to be in for much for that child. So, learn about the classical Christian education, the classical education as much as you can. Simply search online. Look to Google on their sites that deal with classical Christian education associations, and there are also associations with Giftedness. So I don't know that there's any place where they particularly converge, but search online, look online, and learn to be someone who's looking for the education of your child, not just to repeat the education that you went through, but to be an education fitted and appropriate for the potential, for the capabilities of your child that's there before you, who has a life trajectory that can be substantially assisted by finding the right educational opportunities. So to learn more about just simply the education, classical Christian education, I'm going to refer you to this book right here. Dorothy Sayers, associate of a friend of C.S. Lewis, did a number of wonderful novels, but her book, The Lost Tools of Learning. This is the Amazon cover, and if you have Kindle, this is a grand total of 59 cents American. So, American US dollars, 59 cents. So, most people could afford that. It's not that long, but just simply to get you to be passionate, to understand, to be passionate about kind of education we have had here in the West, which prepared many, many people. It wasn't perfect by any means, but prepared many people for accomplishment, for specializations in science later on in their lives, literature, so on, and which gave them a capacity for understanding history, literature, music, art, so much, so much that can make us worthwhile. Some tastes which maybe, if you're in some stuck in popular culture, which are much better than popular culture, but take a little bit of time to acquire, so much that can make life worth living, life enjoyable. So that's all I have to say for this right now. So please consider very carefully classical Christian education for your gifted child, if your child is identified as gifted. It might spare them a lot of pain, protect them from a lot of nonsense, and set them on a path to have a great deal of learning, productivity, and a solid citizen, solid person in this world. So, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.